Welcome, everyone, to Our Future. This is day 3. We're talking about Mycofutures today. We're talking about the potential of fungi, and it's really, truly limitless. And we're asking questions, we're dreaming big, and we're also looking to proven examples of what people have done and what people are currently doing, and current questions that people are trying to answer. So all of the above, everything's on the table. Thank you so much for being here. I will try to keep letting people in. And if you're watching this on the replay, thank you for watching. I am so excited about this information because fungi are the linchpins, and these people are linchpins in my life too. Ronnie Baum of Fungi Perfecti has been a friend and a supporter and someone who has really like inspired me. And I mean, when I first went to Mycofest, isn't that when we first met? Yeah, that was my first time flying in 12 years. I just was like, I didn't know what to expect. It was my first time speaking at a Myco event of any sort. And so and you became my fast friend, and that really made me feel so good, made me feel confident. And actually, at that event, I made so many friends, and they're all friends with you too. So she's an amazing person. She's incredibly knowledgeable and incredibly pragmatic and extraordinarily competent. You figure this out immediately when you start talking to her. You're like, oh, wow, you are going to do great things. And she already has done great things. But I see you, Lonnie, in the future with like this like incredible like everyone knows you and everyone knows all the things that you've done. And right now you've done incredible things for Fungi Perfecta. I have that little necklace where there's William, where it constantly smells like maple syrup for my wife. And then the googly eyes. I love it all. All right. William is here. William Padilla-Brown. He is an author. He is an educator. He is a very good friend as well. He is on my podcast more than anyone else. And we were just talking about Mycofest, where Lonnie and I first met. It was William that brought us together. And actually, Mandy's there too. And it's Mandy that brought us. Mandy, William that brought Mandy and I together as well. And all these different people, they bring so much to the table. And that's why it's so exciting to bring minds together, to have exciting questions, to think about the future. And William is doing so many different things. If you think about entrepreneurship, partnering with the highest level of ethics, partnering with transparency, partnering with community, he's living it. He's doing it. And if you want to learn from him, follow his channels, follow his social media. And if you can, get to some of his events, because he travels around and he does those in-person classes, and those are powerful. Thank you so much for being here, William. And then we have Mandy. Mandy Clark. Oh, wow. Look at this. Look at this.
Yeah, we got a class right now.
Got a crowd.
Yeah, I left the class to tap in with you guys.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
But we got
much.
Yeah, we got Justin and we got the team in there taking care of everything. So we're very blessed.
And that is testament to a bunch of different things. Everything I just said about community, everything that I said about entrepreneurship, that's it in action. I want to imitate that. I want to like learn from William and bring that on board, because I'm the solopreneur. I'm running this whole thing myself. I'm literally clicking, letting people in as I talk. And you know, I'm kind of used to that. I was a high school teacher, you know, that people visited and were like, you seem very comfortable with chaos. You know, I'm a little chaotic as a person. But I need to learn that to get to my next level. And so it's incredibly important that we listen to all the different layers and all the different perspectives, because so many people have things to add. Lonnie, I can't wait for you to write something or share something that really shows people how people can work in groups in businesses. Because like William just said, that responsive reaction, there's some incredible things that you've revealed to me. And I don't want to reveal for you or But the way you guys like do the music, the way you guys, sometimes have all that like silent communication, there's like a deeper connection there that you all have at Fungi Perfecti. That's impressive. And so there's things that we can learn from everyone here. And I'm constantly learning from people here, including Mandy Quark. Mandy is at the cutting edge, and she's one of those people that ties people together. She's one of those people that is a meaning maker. She helps people make sense of the world. She's out there sequencing fungal DNA. She's out there actually getting the fungi in its natural habitats, looking at these things as they are, and then partnering and writing a book with Alan Rockefeller. You're doing so much. You are an embodiment of the fungi, and she's teaching me a lot about DNA so that I can get better at the fungi side of soil DNA. If you guys have been following my story behind the scenes, it's Mandy that's really helping me out, and William that are both really helping me out, and Alan Rockefeller, that are really helping out, and Stephen Russell. All of these amazing people behind the scenes are myceliating and connecting and making this happen. And another one of those things that comes out of these relationships that just constantly surprises me is a student of mine who I've known about. He's got an incredible, interesting name on Intricate Circles. I don't know if you guys have heard of this man. And I had no idea, like the vision that he had and all the stuff that he had to do and show us and jump in. And he's really good friends with William, myceliating, right? And he's launching an entire conference himself in person. Everyone should check this out. It's the Southwest Funga Fest. Pay attention to that. There might be a quiz later on that. And I'll be there. William will be there. It's going to be an incredible event. And it ties right into that DNA sequencing that Mandy was just teaching me about. And it ties into the database that in many ways, all of you have inspired me with the way that we've connected, the way things are so open and supportive in the mycological communities. If you're not going to mushroom festivals and connecting with the mycological societies in your neck of the woods, now is the time to do it. And all of these people here are amazing people to follow. Lonnie is connected to so many different people. She's always doing interesting things. She's always coming up with interesting things that are really inspiring and creative. And then Mandy is going to all these different places and immersing in foraging, immersing in the culture and connecting people, doing sequencing work, working with Alan. And I don't know David as well, but David's launching this festival. He's launching this conference, and it's absolutely inspiring. And
David also has I didn't mean to cut you off, but David also has a community lab he's been working on over there. So definitely opening up opportunities for more people to learn mycology. And not to take the mic or anything, but like on the topic of Mycofutures, I really think that is really where the future of mycology lies, is creating a community space for people to interact with the science that most people are, getting very excited about. And to the point where people are spending thousands of dollars to recreate labs in their basement, not knowing that there's somebody that already spent thousands of dollars for a lab in their basement in the same neighborhood. And a lot of the different aspects of the mycological process may not be very interesting for every individual. A lot of it's very exciting, but maybe, making spawn isn't your thing, or culturing mushrooms or cloning mushrooms isn't your thing, or like fruiting mushrooms isn't your thing. Maybe you just want to work on mycomaterials. Maybe you just want to breed mushrooms. Maybe you just want to do this, you want to do that. It's so much easier to be able to fall into your niche when you're supported by a community laboratory or by other people that are already engaged in it. So I really think that that's where the future of a lot of this mycology is heading, is into this community setting. But yeah, just was thinking about that as far as like Mycofutures go. It's really exciting to see more people become mycoliterate, so that we don't have to just teach the people that are interested in mushrooms, like, this is mycelium and, these are spores. Like, now more people know so that we can meet on this level playing field. And we're like, okay, yeah, like look at this mycelium is doing all this weird things. Like look at the hypha doing this. Like you see, it's got melanation on here, and people kind of know what we're talking about now, so we can start, working and expanding into, new understandings of fungi.
Absolutely. So if you would like to ask a question, there's a chat button below. Please click on it. Introduce yourself to the group. You'll find people here from your own bioregion, most likely. Find people who have common interests here, most likely. And if you put your question in all caps, we'll be able to easily find it and we'll get you some answers. All right, first question. Regarding mushrooms, it's commonly believed that they have very low nutritional value, almost 0 calories as an example. Their taste and medicinal value can't be ignored, though. Your opinion on this fact, myth, would be appreciated. So Jack's wondering, is this true or not?
I've personally seen,
William.
oh, sorry, I think I cut you off. I've personally seen a lot of research papers showing, different protein levels, vitamin levels, and things like this for various mushrooms that we consume. So I wouldn't say that there's no nutrition, but I would love to hear what everybody else has to say also. I only know that from research that I've read.
Yeah, they have vitamins, minerals, micronutrients, and honestly, I feel like it's a great protein alternative for vegans. That's not just beans or soy or stuff like that. So,
Yeah, actually, a lot of people overlook turkey tail as only a medicinal, but I read some research that said it's actually one of the most fiber dense organisms on the planet. So if you're not eating turkey tail, you should be grinding it up and eating it for your fiber intake. It's a super, super powerful fiber intake. Things like the shiitake, I mean, they're producing almost every single amino acid. One of the only organisms on the planet that can produce almost every amino acid. So as far as nutritional value, I think mushrooms have tons of it. And there's tons of research to be out. Like Williams brought up before, a lot of the analytics on tons of these mushrooms have never been run. So we don't know exactly what they have to offer. So as research unfolds, I think we'll really be able to pair with fungi as food medicine and tons of other things.
Lonnie, would you like to add anything?
Oh, yeah. I mean, mushrooms have tons of health benefits. You mentioned shiitake. They are a great source of vitamin D. They have the melanin in there as well, so they can convert the sun into vitamin D, put them cap gill side up. So yeah, it's great health benefits for all types of mushrooms. I'd say there's more research showing their health benefits than there isn't. So.
Yeah, and it's funny how we often don't flip things to the reverse of what they are. And so when we talk about, mushrooms embodying sometimes toxins, if there's toxins in the substrate, the reverse would also be true, that if there was, trace minerals and micronutrients of a particular sort, they potentially, depending on what we're talking about, could be embodied or more bioavailable in a mushroom form. It just really depends on what we're talking about. We have to do a lot of research in this area still. But William, what do you say about that?
I would just like to add, there's a lot of research from the lens of microremediation as mushrooms as dynamic accumulators or hyperaccumulators in the environment. I think that beside looking at this for the potentials of microremediation, they're doing this for other purposes besides remediation in the environment. And there's significant studies showing that they have the potential to uptake minerals from environments and in some of the more mineral-rich organisms in our environment anymore, considering that the topsoil has been so degraded as it has, are trees that get their roots very far deep into the ground. So the mushrooms, to be able to accumulate, minerals or accumulate some compound from their substrate, they definitely are able to pull and become, supplemental to us for some of the things that we may be missing.
Yeah, I've been doing color coding for spores and different hyphae, and what I realized was the environment is affecting the coloration because they're externally digesting everything. So of course, pigment would be taken from the environment to a degree. And of course, there's genetic, coloration, but it's something that is like an X factor that people I don't think brought in, and I think that I don't know. There's a lot there because I mean that potentially makes it so that the minerals are making the colors that way too. Because the drier climates where it's more oxidized, everything's more red, which implies the iron and the clays. You know what I mean? The redder colors. You know what I mean? Are the reason that those hyphae are the more reddish orange. Well, at least that's what I'm doing right now with microscopy. All right, let's look for the next question. That was awesome. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Well, here's an easy one. What logs do turkey tail grow on? Isn't it almost everything? Lonnie, do you want to field this one?
Yeah, it's almost plug spawn season where we're at. Turkey tail will grow on just about everything. You want to avoid things that contain toxins, maybe like black walnut, anything that has really strong antifungal compounds and aromatics, so like any cedar or pine. But I actually have seen turkey tail grow on a lot of harder woods, fruit and nut trees where other mushrooms wouldn't grow. And they're a really good option. Instead of grinding a stump, you can inoculate it with turkey tail and then give it a couple of years, get bonus fruit bodies, but then you can dig it out with a shovel. We've gotten some really good feedback with it preventing suckers on invasive species trees, potentially, to kind of keep that at bay. That's one thing that I studied a little bit at Evergreen was growing mushrooms on noxious weeds. And I called it myco weed control. So there's some cool projects that I've helped influence through those connections that I've made through my job. But yeah, turkey tail is one of my favorites. It's very kind of like the zombie of the mushroom world. It can easily take over other logs too. So if you do grow it separately from all your other edibles like shiitake and oysters and things.
Awesome. Next question. For someone without experience, which notably medicinal mushroom without psilocybin in the mix would you recommend to start cultivating inexpensively? David, do you want to take this one?
I'll let William talk first, but first thing that comes to mind is like cordyceps. It's an up and coming industry right now, and talking about just feeding off different substrates. I know there's a lot of testing and analytics being done on cordycepin levels, and right now just on different substrate recipes, just on different breeding species and things like that. So I mean, medicinal mushrooms are a tough one to grow, in my opinion. I mean, I think I find more value in harvesting and foraging medicinal mushrooms. Talking about like collecting that environmental, hyper accumulating any of that environmental things. Yeah. So I don't know. Anybody else wants to go?
I was going to say shiitake, which are edible, but also medicinal, and can be successfully grown outdoors on logs.
I would say lion's mane. It tends to just fruit on itself if you don't do anything in time. It'll even just fruit in the bag, and you can even just take the fruit body off the top of the substrate and eat that too, or make extracts with that as well. Cordyceps are nice. It may seem intimidating, but you don't really need to like set up a whole grow room with humidity and all these fans and all this kind of stuff, because they grow inside of a bag or a jar. So they're a little bit more forgiving in that sense. But they can be a little more technical if you don't know anything about mycology. So yeah, I would say lion's mane for sure, or reishi also, because like you can just buy a reishi kit and it'll just grow in the top of the bag, and then you can pull out the antlers and make some tea. So you also don't really need a grow room to grow reishi. So those are really great medicinal mushrooms or functional mushrooms to start off with.
Excellent.
I was gonna say I actually have a reishi right here that my friend brought over. Give you a little example. It's pretty self-contained to have kits like that. I was gonna say lion's mane as well. It's a pretty fast producer. Usually from like inoculation to fruiting is just a couple of weeks. Same with oyster mushrooms. Can't forget that. I think all mushrooms are medicinal in some ways. Yeah, my reishi kit's not quite as fancy.
Well,
But yeah, oyster mushrooms and lion's mane are really good edibles and easy to grow. And oysters will grow on a variety of substrates like coffee grounds and spent brewery grains and all sorts. Yep, there's your oysters. Awesome.
yeah. So, for my family and our needs, we usually do 1 or 2 lion's mane blocks and 1 or 2 reishi blocks, and then I make. I end up making 2 bottles of, like, after I do the mushrooms sitting in vodka. I dry the mushrooms first, then put them in vodka, and then I have them sit there for. I look for a color difference, and so I look for a specific color difference. It has to be this dark color, and then and I'm always shaking it every day, and then we use that for most of the year, if not the whole year, as our tincture, and it's so easy. It's really, really powerful and easy to do. All right, so this is an interesting one. Are there companion relationships between different mushroom species?
Yes. Fungi species. I like mushroom species. I can't say with authority, but I can say there are definitely companion relationships between different fungi species. What I'm thinking, particularly in North Carolina, back in 2017, I experimented for a few months with growing tremella. Tremella is a jelly type fungus that requires a relationship with a hypoxylon fungus that needs to grow on the substrate first. You can separate the hypoxylon from the tremella if you find it in the wild. The hypoxylon will be in the wood. So if you see the tremella growing wild, you can culture the hypoxylon from the wood by taking a piece of the wood and put it in a petri dish. This mushroom is cultivated in China. Whenever my mom was living in Shanghai, she would send me pictures of it, and it would be literally like in the grocery store, in the refrigerated section, they will have like substrate blocks with tremella mushrooms that the people could just go pick off themselves. And this mushroom is noted for producing hyaluronic acid, which is very valued in cosmetic industry. That's a really fun one. Other than that, I don't particularly know any mushrooms that require other mushrooms, but I would just leave it before I see Mandy tapping in. I just wanted to leave it with the Stropharia that requires other bacteria to grow a mushroom. It won't grow a mushroom without that.
Yeah, I can think of a mushroom that needs another mushroom. It would be, well, I guess it's really unknown, but a cool mushroom on mushroom action would be, oh my gosh, so much stuff running through my mind right now. Because yesterday, I'm cutting myself off. Yesterday, I found a hypomyces on a trichoglossum, sorry. And then also another mushroom that needs another mushroom to grow would be Cladomeris, the umbrella polypore. It grows in a concordance with armillaria mushroom mycelium. So then that interaction is pretty much like unknown. So yeah, those are 2 actual mushroom species. The hypomyces would just be a fungus. And then another hypomyces would be like a lobster mushroom. So yeah, and those are parasites, fungal parasites.
I didn't think about that when you first dropped in. We also, my buddy here was just showing, we have these students in, and one of the students was showing me from his property, he has shrimp of the woods, Entoloma abortivum, which grows on armillaria also. And then we also get the Talipocladium ophioglossoides, which is hypocreals related to like cordyceps and stuff that grows on a truffle. So it grows on the false truffle in the Laphomyces genus. And then we also have these little, it's like Boletus parasiticum or something like this. Is that right, Mandy?
I think it's Pseudoboletus now.
Pseudoboletus parasiticum, and it's a little bolete that grows on scleroderma puffballs. So there are some mushrooms that depend on other mushrooms in order to grow. I thought about it too technically, and I didn't think about like ones that consider like I was thinking about it more like that they live together, and not like eat each other. But some.
Also,
I'm sorry. No,
well, there's a like Sturium, just regular Sturium, and then Besamariolius, like or it's like Phlebian now, that pink like winter mushroom that grows on Sturium, and they're not sure how that interacts either. So it's a cool question that I am fascinated by.
Well, it came up yesterday. Our bruscular mycorrhizal fungi usually it doesn't partner with brassicas. They are non-mycorrhizal, but trichoderma for some reason makes it so it can partner in the roots of brassica. They don't know how or why, but that is the case. So that's something that people have known for a bit in the inoculation. Is Alan in the room? Is Alan there?
Yeah, Alan's here.
I knew it.
Yeah, we found so many mushrooms yesterday, and I'm sitting down here putting little mushrooms in a 96 well plate, and I have so many mushrooms in my head right now that I was like, I would not normally forget the word trichoglossum, but luckily he was sitting here.
Did y'all play with the nanopore yet?
Oh, we're doing it right now. I just got the liquid handler. Yeah, so like I just set up the liquid handler here at Counterculture Labs, to deliver stuff. So we're gonna put, we're doing our first 96 well plate here in the next week. Yeah, so I'm just preparing the samples right now. So thank you, Will. Will gave us his MinION to use for our nanopore sequencing. So yeah, it's gonna be great.
That's amazing. The magnitude of that gift you guys, if you don't know, is massive. So that's William.
I got gifted a MinION. I had one, and then Laura Boykin, who did the research with cassava plants in Uganda, she gifted me one from the Uganda project. So it only felt right to keep the momentum moving, especially whenever I know that Alan and Mandy are literally like sitting with, like, I don't have 90 mushrooms in front of me right now, but I know that other people are, and like, it's like, why not have the work working? You know what I mean?
Yes, we're gonna put it to use. Like we're so excited about it. So I went last weekend, I sequenced 380 specimens from Soma Camp and sent them to Stephen Russell. I sampled them and sent them for sequencing to Stephen Russell. So we're gonna be able to see that data sometime in the next couple weeks.
This used to cost so much money, by the way, guys. Like each sample would be like $5 to $15 if you didn't have one of the devices. So the fact that we can do this much is like mind-boggling. But I don't want to derail it. It's just like literally just like I could nerd out forever.
Well, how is he gonna transmit the information to you? Is he gonna just give you access to his like dashboard?
He will. By the time the data gets back to us, it will be in actual DNA barcodes that are associated with the iNaturalist ID numbers.
So he'll give you the text file of just the raw, and then you'll run it. Is he gonna run the blast for us, or is he just gonna? Yeah, so he's gonna run the whole. He's gonna blast everything. So he'll give us the ID. Okay.
What?
Where are you guys gonna visualize all the information? Because I do it through the Epi2Me like dashboard, and it makes it frustrating because I want to be able to like share the information in an easier way.
I think I'm gonna. As I was thinking about it, and I think I'm gonna end up making like just a giant PowerPoint presentation with all the most interesting things, because then you have the photos, and then associating the photos and then where they were and the date and everything like that. So it's just, I love PowerPoint. It just seems easier. And then there's stuff that we don't really care about that much, but then like, it's just like, okay, like this is like 15 of the same like Russell or whatever like came into the event. But then for the really interesting stuff, I think it should all go into some sort of data visualization program. I think PowerPoint is just as good as anything else.
That's really interesting. I would not have expected you to say that.
Well, just so I can present on it at stuff like
Yeah.
this. Like if I had
Well,
that right
makes
now, I could
sense.
just like
But
bring
I
it
just meant,
up, you know?
yeah. The soil situation, I don't know if I've told everyone in the room this, or like you guys in the panel, but the soil situation is actually kind of unique where it's a hockey stick. So like the top organisms, 18%, the second organism is 1.2%. And I'm just talking averages. And then everything else is below 1% for the next like 12. And then everything below that for the next like 20 to 100 is like below 0.01%. And then everything like thousands and thousands and thousands of things beyond that are like almost there, like barely, like there's like a one count of it. And so you have this genetically, you have this hockey stick of relevancy. And I don't think like anyone's really like recognized that. And for me, like William, like I don't know if I've been able to say this because I'm in the midst of doing this book, but it's giving me the ability, the DNA sequencing, because guys, the reason I'm doing DNA sequencing is William. And I can see what's relevant. And then suddenly like all the white noise, because it's that simple hockey stick and it's like the same 12 that repeat over and over again in different ratios and combinations across all composts, seemingly, I can like really focus my book to like what really matters and what's relevant. And it's amazing because I'm like, oh, these microbes are dominating. Well, that means the soil behaviorally is that dominantly, which is wild because we know the behaviors of microbes, right? And so if you know the percentage of what they are in you know how the soil is going to behave largely. So I would never have gotten there without that DNA sequencing. So thank you so much. And I'm going to be doing tons more this year. I've got a bunch of samples, but I'm just going to open this up to everyone here. I need more samples of compost, soil, natural soil. I'm going to ask for bad soil eventually so that we get the difference between the two. But I want good soil first. I'm calibrating all my rubrics right now with my new protocols. All right, next question. Any tips on tissue culture for spawn versus spore prints? I think they're asking like which is better, spawn versus spore prints is what they're asking.
I guess it depends on the situation, right? And in gourmet, I would say that tissue culture is perfectly fine and acceptable to use, but it just depends on what you're trying to achieve and what your end goal is. If you're growing psilocybe, you might want to, a little bit more diversity. So you might want to start with spores and then select for specific mycelium and then, culture that on agar and then move from there. But if you're growing gourmet, I think that, tissue culture is probably the way to go, liquid culture or finding a reliable source, or buying a mushroom and cloning it yourself. That way it's a reliable tissue that you're cloning, because not always do you get reliable tissue when someone sends you a liquid culture or culture in general. So depends on your end goal, I would say.
Thank you for hearing the question. It was inverted a bit for me. I was like, wait. The literalist English teacher comes out in me. And then the next part of the question was tips for using coffee grounds as a substrate for oyster mushrooms. Lonnie, do you want to answer this one?
Sure. We used to sell espresso oyster mushroom kits, which was essentially just sawdust spawn of oyster mushrooms and instructions Coffee grounds can, if they sit for too long, get contaminated really easily. One easy step is to just store them straight after brewing in the freezer, and then you won't necessarily have to pasteurize them or anything like that. They'll be ready to inoculate. Moisture content is something that you want to keep an eye on. Usually a general rule of thumb that we used to say is if you squeeze
I'm frozen, I think.
can be a little every few inches or so, bags, same type of thing. And then, yeah, it can take 2 weeks, maybe a little bit longer, depending on the conditions, like temperature and airflow and humidity and moisture content. But usually 2 to 3 weeks should be colonized and ready to fruit within about a week of full maturation. Quick rundown, I guess.
Nice. I love it. So I've seen this question in a variety of iterations. There's lots of folks here that are beginners. They've never grown mushrooms before. And I know we've kind of said it with like the medicinal mushrooms, but this is an even more general question. It's been asked several times. There's several people who are in drier, more desert climates. People are in Australia. People are in high desert areas. And they want to know what the best mushroom is to start with. And none of them are asking indoors or outdoors, so that's all open for you. William, what would you recommend?
I would say David should answer this. He lives in the desert.
Okay.
I mean, that's a pretty complex question. You know, it's like if you create the right environment, you can pretty much do anything. But you know, speaking about like cordyceps and things like that, like anything that you can grow in vitro inside of a bag, you know, is a really good place to start. It's really a different thing. You know, people are like, oh, you know, buy a kit, cut it open, put it in your windowsill. But like here we got negative humidity most of the year. And so it's like, you know, the desert's almost drinking the water out of you as you're walking around. So as long as you can create an environment, you can fruit just about any species. I mean, I've spent the better part of 5 years cultivating just about every species that I've put my hands on trying to cultivate. So it's not impossible, but again, you know, it's like you're going to have to source those genetics regionally, you know, like right now I'm doing a lot of testing, like this mushroom right here. I got snow outside of my farm right now. It's 10 degrees. The fruiting room is an outdoor climatized greenhouse that I built. It gets down to like 20 degrees at night, some nights in there. I didn't put a heater in there for the last few weeks. These mushrooms have some environmental genetics that are really pumping it out. You know, like we don't have a lot of humidity besides the humidity I'm creating. And so I think it's really, really important to be sourcing your genetics locally. Because it's great. I know reliable farmers all across the East Coast and the West Coast, but I buy their genetics and I bring them to the high mountain desert where it's 6,800 feet and we got negative humidity all year round. If we're lucky, we get a few inches of rainfall. You know, last year was like record breaking, but I can't work those genetics even in my room that's 90% humidity because they're just not used to it. It's like you taught me over the years, like building resilience through seed saving. It's another thing, you know, it's great. I get Baker heirloom seeds all the time, but I plant them in my garden and, you know, I only get a small amount in that package. I might get 2 of those plants to grow because of my climate. It takes a couple of years to build resilience. It takes a few years, you know, so like you can capture spores, you can go to your local farmer's market and there's a good chance that there's a local person growing those mushrooms and genetics that are at least adapted a bit to the environment. And then you clone that and take it to your grow room and probably have a lot better success.
That's awesome. Okay, next question. What are the nutrient medicinal polysaccharide differences between reishi types that have been grown in a more oxygenated environment versus the reishi antlers grown in a higher CO2 environment? Does anyone have an idea about this one? That's very interesting.
I like the question, but I have no idea.
I like the question too.
I mean, I would say reach out to maybe Ryan Paul Gates of Terrestrial Fungi. He's the guy that's doing probably the most research about medicinal compounds and reishi. And I know William might be getting some analytics sooner than later ran on reishi, so we can really kind of inspect how to work with that medicinally. But again, the research and the resources for the research aren't quite out there yet. So if you got access to a lab that wants to run analytics on any of these mushrooms, I'm sure you could reach out to any mycologist that would be willing to contribute to your research.
Absolutely.
I had someone tell it to me like this one time. In traditional Chinese medicine, they use the root, the leaf, the fruit. They use all parts of the plant for a lot of different plants, right? Like, and even when you're foraging here, like for the same type of things, like for plants that we can eat the whole thing, you harvest the root whenever the energy's there, whenever it's not putting energy into making leaves. Like when it's putting energy into making leaves, that's where most of the energy of the plant's focused. You harvest the leaves whenever it's putting the leaves out. Whenever it's putting out the fruit, you're not going to harvest the roots. You're not going to harvest the leaves because the roots are going to be bitter, shriveled up. They're putting their energy up to the top. So I've had people like an herbalism tell it to me like this. I think that there's value in all of it. I think that science is just one way of knowing. I think that sometimes being able to just say things and feel it and not like have like a on paper, this analytical chemistry says that the roots are like da 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 da, but just like, like be a human and go outside and look at the things and see how it makes you feel and all this kind of stuff. I think there's different ways of knowing.
That's interesting. So timing of when to harvest medicinal mushrooms and depending on the variety that we're talking about.
Oh, I don't think I know. I don't think I said why that was. When the reishi antler is in its antler form, it's not producing spores like when it has a cap. So that's why I even said that, because otherwise that was kind of irrelevant. But in the reishi antler form, it's like in the vegetative form, it didn't produce the fruit. It's not making the spore. So some people value the reishi antler because it never put the energy into creating the spore, and they think that the energy is more in the antler. So some people think it like that. I've heard people say it to me like this before.
That's super interesting. Reproductive versus vegetative growth matters so much in a plant. It would make sense that it would matter with fungi. Wow, I want to test that. That's fascinating. So here's a question that I've not heard before, but makes sense from someone who is new to mushrooms. They say, I'm not a mushroom grower or forager, but are there any mushrooms that are indicators of bad things, bad news for my plants and vegetables? And I honestly, mushroom wise, I can't think of any. Can you guys think of any like harbingers of doom? No. Yeah, I don't think there are any of those.
Well, for trees are malaria, because if that's a parasitic fungus. So if you're going out picking honey mushrooms, you don't want to spread the spores around. So if you're like super concerned or interested and you like start to see a bunch of honey mushrooms on trees in your yard that you really like, that could be a bad sign. As far as crops, every crop has its pest, a lot of them are fungal. I don't know. I don't specialize in that.
I know someone with a backyard that was taken over by the honey mushroom, and I really wonder now that we understand like IPMO and chitinase, if we could have like just water drenched the yard and digested that. I wonder. Interesting. But yeah, no, those things can get out of control. Just ask Oregon.
I'm not saying it's like a bad thing. Like maybe that tree needed to be taken out. Like you don't know what's going on underground or in the environment. And it's not really shouldn't really be like judgment for humans on that, in my opinion. But
right.
Like if you like see like a bunch of honey mushrooms, like, it's certainly a sign that that tree is on its way out.
This is interesting. So, understanding mushrooms to mine natural stone quarry mines with mixed fungal species, would this be possible? This is thinking in the future. Could we eventually use mushrooms to mine specific things from different areas?
Oh yeah. Yes. I've been on this idea for a while. Like, I guess I tripped myself into the future to some extent because I started talking about things that didn't become relevant until more recently when I was really young. But I whenever I was younger, there'd be this there was this news thing that would come on when I was in like middle school and high school in the morning. It's called Channel 1 News. And they would oftentimes be talking about how, like, when you're an adult in 2026 or we're going to be at peak of this mineral or peak of this metal or something like this, like that, like we weren't able to mine any more of it out of the land. And I took that shit seriously. Like, everybody's like flicking little paper footballs and doodling off in the school. And I'm like, yo, do you not hear this? Like, we're going to run out of stuff. Like, when we be older, what are we going to do? And nobody else is thinking about it. I'm like losing my mind about it. So early on, it became apparent to me that anybody that figures out how to pull the valuable materials out of the trash is going to be the winners of this next little race or whatever. So I think that mushrooms can become very handy for this once we can figure out systems for accumulating certain types of waste material, running mycelium through it, and then hyper accumulating these metals or materials into the mushrooms, maybe doing some kind of like magnetic resonance extractions or something like this. I don't know, my mind goes a lot of places. I also like to stay in the reality of like I think most of the things that people says is going to be like, oh, in 10, 20 years or something like this. I think it's going to happen quicker because not only do we have the internet and people working on the same thing all around the world, we also have artificial intelligence now as well that's available to the public. I mean, artificial intelligence has been around for a long time for these big mega corporations, but now anybody can just go ask artificial intelligence questions. So I think we're going to refine a lot of ideas really quickly. So things that we think that was going to happen really far in the future is going to end up happening quicker. So I like to believe that a lot of things are going to just be possible. I know that might not be like the way that people might like to base their reality on facts and things that's tangible right now. But I know that if we have, somebody's doing this science over here, somebody's doing this science over there, then I know that those two things are already possible. Then I know that this is going to converge and make something. So in saying that, I know that the technologies exist on the planet now to be able to utilize fungi to mine valuable metals from trash and reacquire them. It's just going to take somebody developing the SOP of how to do it because everything's already here for it.
David,
can I say something about that? Yeah, like it gets my mind going on all kinds of different stuff. So in terms of like mycoremediation, I think that we're already tapping into that kind of stuff. A few years ago, there was So since 1960, Los Alamos Labs here in New Mexico has been dumping toxic chromium into the waterway for a really, really long time. And there's this organization called Tiwa Women's United who works against that, right? And dumping the toxic chromium, it's affecting farms all around Los Alamos. And so Peter McCoy actually came down and started working with this organization, Tiwa Women's United. And what he eventually found out is all this toxic chromium, that's huge, huge toxic levels, right? But it's approved by the people that say it's approved, right? So what Peter ended up finding out is that you could release mycelium in the waterway and the toxic chromium would actually attach itself to the mycelium. And the mycelium didn't even have to be alive. This could be dead mycelium that you go to old mushroom farmers, and you can release these blocks into the water. Now this toxic chromium is attaching itself to the mycelium. You can harvest that mycelium, recycle that toxic chromium. Now we're no longer mining for that chromium. Now we're cleaning up this toxic waste. I think I heard in the live the other day, Quatamok and Rascal and you talking about like how to just go to these mine places and just inoculate the beds, right? And then we're going to be filtering a lot of this toxic stuff out. And, talk about like the future systems. I mean, if you look way back in the past, right, they have theories about how the mycorrhizal species of mushrooms and fungi were here before there was ever even vascular life on this planet, right? You look at prototaxides, you look at like way back 2 point something billion years ago, panspermia, right? This big comet lands on life. You look at NASA, they did a test where they made an artificial meteor, they inoculated it with spores, released it in the vacuum of space, brought it back out from the vacuum of space, took those spores, put them on petri dishes, and the spores were viable, right? So the mycorrhizal species potentially have been here mining these minerals before there was even plant life, right? So we look at water. Water's the oldest out of everything, the most ancient, right? Probably before the fungi, right? And these water in these estuaries where the salt water and the freshwater meet is all this intense life, right? We have all this microorganisms. We have like cyanobacteria, we have all this crazy stuff, and eventually this water makes its way to the shore where the mycorrhizals are like mining all these minerals, right? And then they're creating a pathway for the next step of life. So we get lichens and we get like algae and things like that. And like Williams always brought to my attention that those two are the pairing of a cyanobacteria and fungi living, right? It's these stacking of functions, and eventually the theory goes that we start getting these non-vascular plants like liverworts and ferns and things start making their appearance. And then, all of a sudden the mycorrhizals have been here setting down roots for a really long time, making way for these vascular plants to start developing in trees and prototaxides. And, there's a big theory about prototaxides. What is it? Is it a mushroom? Is it a lichen? Is it an algae? I think there's, a dissertation paper that I read a really long time ago or started reading that leans more towards fungal. So these giant fungus trees have been here for who knows how long, right? And now we're at this little, we have our little 100-year, 80-year lifespan where we think we have this understanding of this grand molecular scheme where it's like you're like a half down blink of Mother Earth in your 80-year span. If you think you have like a bigger picture, you got like one down blink maybe. So like utilize your time and your resources and pair with fungi, because it is the future and it is the past and it's been here. We're lucky enough to be alive to recognize that we are in this fungal frontier and that everything has like a basis of life in fungi. And so sorry to run off tangent at all.
That was great. Woo!
Yeah,
that was
and
awesome.
I wanted to throw in there also, like, our company Fungi Perfecti is currently working with NASA on terraforming asteroids. That's kind of a side project. So I wanted to shout that out. Yeah, we're working on that right now. Pretty exciting. Actual astromycology.
Yeah, so I have a hard time even like wrapping my mind around that. That's so mind blowing. Like my mind's like trying. Yeah. Wow. Like I said at the beginning, I learn something every single time I get to spend time with these amazing people. I think we're going to take one more question and then we're going to do the giveaway. If I grow lion's mane with 6-week weight on black walnut, will the fruit body contain toxins?
It could. Same thing with like the rose family and other things, but you would definitely want to test it probably before eating a bunch of. Just be a small amount and not bad too. It's hard to say. Do you have any thoughts on that, David?
Personally, I haven't had time to do that, but I know that I just recently changed the substrate recipe in our gourmet mushrooms and started using alfalfa. And I went in the grow room and the mushrooms just smelled like alfalfa. Like I've never smelled a mushroom contain what it was growing on so much in my life. Like, I use Master's Mix a lot, but this alfalfa, it was just, I don't know if it's the cold or what, but it was like you could just smell the alfalfa in the mushrooms. It was a phenomenon.
Yeah, the alfalfa, I've noted you have to do that at a very low ratio. It can even make the mushrooms grow weird. But as far as the black walnut, I've actually grown a couple different mushrooms with blending black walnut in my substrate, the actual walnut hulls, and just to see if it would inhibit growth, and it didn't, because one of the things that walnut does is it releases jugalone, I believe is what the name of it, the compound is, into the soil. And it inhibits plants from growing. And I know that certain hormones that stimulate plant growth also stimulate mycelium growth, like gibberellin or gibberellic acid. So I figured that if this compound is inhibiting plant growth, it might inhibit fungal growth, but it didn't. And I grew enoki, lion's mane oyster on substrate that had a significant amount of black walnut shells, holes in the substrate. So that's just a little experiment I did. I don't have any analytical data on that. We're getting to the point. I mean, I hope that within the next 10 years of my life, I can have, some sort of analytical devices that are just like handheld or on my desk or something like this. But for now, we're working with thin layer chromatography, but this also requires that you have some level of standards. So you need to have the actual compounds that you're looking for purified to be able to reference, what you're looking for. So, I don't know anybody that's doing that research, particularly with the black walnut. That's a kind of a specialized type question.
It's interesting because I've taken black walnut for just like a medical, like a natural medicine. So it could be an actual, like a medicinal extract in a way. It could be actually a better way to take. We just don't know. That's so interesting, though. Yeah, the future is going to be all of us having handheld devices that allow us to see the other layers of these things that we don't understand. Well, we don't normally see, we don't normally think about, and so we don't understand the relationships to things. And these are our nutrients, these are our minerals, these are the enzymes, and that we're literally taking constantly into our bodies. So it's gonna change everything, because people are gonna be like, no, I'm not eating this. This is like you'll be able to compare things and be like, oh my word, I'm eating this apple, or like this mushroom is the one, and you'll be able to know so much more about the environment and world around you. All right. So I want to be respectful of everyone's time. So it's been an hour. This has been absolutely incredible. I am so, I'm so grateful for you all. All right. So I want to do the giveaways next, but I also want to allow you all the ability to, if you want to bounce, panelists. I don't want you to feel like I'm holding you hostage. Well, I do the giveaways because they're 7
I got to
questions.
peace out. Much love, everybody.
Later, Mo.
Much love.
Thanks for having me. It was really awesome to be on here with you. And if anybody has questions, info@fungi.com. You can email us. I'm on the front lines. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye. We love you, Lonnie.
Mandy, did you want to say something? If not, can I say one thing before we get into the prizes, Matt?
Yeah. I do want to say something, actually. So
go first.
So the MinION that we're using to do all the fungal DNA barcoding, this new technology for the nanopore sequencing, I just want to let you guys know that Oxford Nanopore, the company that makes the MinION, their goal of the company is to enable the analysis of any living thing by any person in any environment. So anything, anywhere, anytime. I just think that's beyond amazing, and I thought you guys would like to know about that, because like that's the whole point of their company, and it's taken them about 30 years from the concept to like getting these things out the door into the hands of users. So it's very, very, it is very amazing, for sure.
Yeah.
And I guess just
David, go.
No, sorry. Just to tap in on that, the one question that I wanted to say, it says, how do we utilize fungi to restore and protect our ecological systems? And I think like Mandy and Alan and you and William and a lot of people are leading the way, but it's this regeneration, it's this preservation, it's this whole this whole movement, and there's a lot of outreaches right now. There's, you can join your local fungus club, and you can join NAMA, which is the national club. There's things like Flora Fauna Funga, who's being organized by Juliana Furci, who's out there actually changing policy in Chile to have fungi as protected part of the policy, like flora and it's called Flora Fauna Funga. Let me just tell you kind of essentially what it is. Funga was adopted in life science. It's a recent term for the kingdom fungi, similar to the long-standing fauna for animals and flora. The term was considered to be urgently needed in order to simplify projects oriented toward implementation of educational and conservation goals, right? So now we can conserve a lot of these ecosystems if we can deem these fungal species as endangered, right? And by doing these intense research projects and things that like Mandy's out there doing and sequencing all this DNA, we can actually start to really identify what these organisms are doing for these ecosystems. And there's a huge project going on called Mycoblitz 2023 run by Stephen Russell. I heard you mention his name. So if you're really into like preserving genetics and finding fungus in the wild, go to your local club, reach out to Mycoblitz 2023. There's the FungDIS, which is the Fungal Diversity Survey that's happening in California. I'm pretty sure Mandy's probably doing a lot of research for that right this moment as we speak. So there's tons and tons and tons of ways to get involved, get involved with your club. There's just all these festivals that are starting to pop up all over the place, and Mycofuture is here, so like if you have a calling, don't feel shy, jump in. It's happening around us. So
yeah, thank you, buddy. I totally didn't get to say this, but the two organizations I work for are Fundus, the Fungal Diversity Survey, so I'm their communications lead. So anything you see on Fundus's social media will be by me from here on out. We're also doing something crazy that has never ever been done in North America, which is the state of California. We just got a grant from the state of California to pay people to go out into the environment and collect fungi. People are now getting paid to go out and make high quality observations as part of this groundbreaking new grant. And then also I am the 4A chair of NAMA, the North American Mycological Association, which is the umbrella organization of about 90 mushroom clubs in North America. We are having our annual 4A August 24th through 27th in Hendersonville, North Carolina. It's probably going to sell out pretty quick. Registration for that opens April 1st. And you will have to be a NAMA member to be able to sign up. So you can become a NAMA member today by going to the website namyco.org.
I have to do that.
You should definitely do it. And you should definitely come to the 4A that I am creating.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, this is awesome. Thank you both for being here. I'm so excited about this year. This is going to be a big year, right?
For sure.
Yeah. It's David's first festival. He's launching his first event, right? This is your first event, right?
I mean, I was a past president and vice president of New Mexico Mycological Society, so I've done like a few things, and I brought William and I brought Dor and helped co-organize some 4As, and like been to Telluride for the last 10 years. So like this is my first personal event that I'm hosting, and my friend Julian's helping co-organize. So we're like super, super excited to bring all kinds of leading edge stuff, right? So
it's going to be amazing. If you guys are into the DNA conversations that we're having, you got to get there. You got to be there. So keep an eye out for that. You can find it on Facebook, Southwest Funga Fest. So get those updates. Stay tuned. There's more coming. All right. So I think we're going to begin the giveaway. You guys ready? You guys can stay. It gets crazy. It's fun. All right, here we go. All right, everyone. Thank you all for being here. This is where it gets really crazy. Okay, so we're going to be giving away these deluxe boxes. We're going to be giving away the whole seed catalog. Some of these microbrews are giant. They're huge. Some of them are small. I haven't given out any small ones yet because I want to give out the big ones first so we get really, really crazy. And then we get all calmed down later. We have bamboo vinegar. We have this is palm oil free soap. This is yucca based and coconut oil based soap. It's absolutely incredible. It's if you want soap that's guilt free, you want soap that's that you can use safely on your face. You know what I mean? Like this is the thing to get. That's in there. There's tons of seeds that are in there, and there is inoculum that is in there. You've got inoculated dowels. I'm going to let iGrok in because that way they can compete. All right. And there's stickers. There's and I think that there's one other thing. Yeah, what was it? Oh, there it is. I'm going to be giving away Unstoppable Enthusiasm, my book. And this has all my habits. It has menus that you guys can choose from for morning, day, and night. And this kind of reveals my whole, story behind the scenes of like how we've really dealt with, the cancers, how I deal with having Crohn's, and how I bounce back from like challenges of all sorts. And this conference, so much of the stuff that I'm talking about in the openings is in here. So that book is there, and there's a course that's even included in it. So free course for everyone who gets that book. So I'm going to be giving away that book again as well. And then we're going to be giving away, yes, that's right, the $1,000 coupon code, the course voucher from Farming Secrets. It's absolutely wild. It's $1,000. And yeah, so keep that in mind. They've got courses that span everything from like grazing to, in-depth microscopy with Dr. Elaine Ingham. They've got an incredible library of information. And then I've got 2 mushroom blocks from Smallhold, the largest provider for whole foods for mushrooms in America. And this is someone that the co-founder of it, you're going to hear from later in this conference, Andrew Carter. And these are incredible people. These are people that started off just like you and I would, just starting a business, just growing mushrooms. And they grew it and made partnerships and set up satellite sites. And they really produce. I think it's 10,000 pounds a week of mushrooms, I believe. Louis was Louis or Louis? Name's Louise. I think it's Louis. The French pronunciation. And so it's in absolute, it's very exciting. This is very high quality mushrooms that these blocks, there's 2 of them. I'm going to be sending those out. So we're going to go through all these questions right now. So did I miss the question? No, I'm just describing all the different things we're giving away, Terp Junkie. It's going to get crazy. I had no questions yet. Just get ready. Everyone's like, "Would you do it?" People are like guessing the answers before it happens. Here we go. Deluxe boxes. We begin. What is the name of your favorite mushroom? This is an easy one. Oh, Nina was like, boom. She had that on lock. All right. So Nina Henko, let me write this down. Where did you put? There's your pen. Very good. Congratulations, Nina. Everyone, congratulate Nina. Many chances to win every day we're doing this, okay? Here we go. What is the name of William Padilla-Brown's company? All right, this is a little bit harder. Oh, Cameron was like, boom. So Cameron, you got this. And everyone, you're going to email me at matt@thepermaculturestudent.com. I'll write my email down here, and I'll write it down again later. Culturestudent.com. No. We're not doing that. Sorry, finger slipped. Copy. Boom. No. There we go. All right. So excellent work, Cameron. Next, Ready? Everyone ready? What was the first mushroom you ate that you foraged? Oh, so not everyone can answer this one. This is like almost like a trick question. Lion's mane, Brian Crump. Wow, Brian's really on that. I believe Brian won yesterday, though. Brian, would you cede that to Steve-O? Because Steve-O was Reishi right after you. Would you cede that? Yes, of course. He's a good guy. Brian's a good guy. All right, so Steve-O, congratulations, Steve-O. This is amazing. I love you guys. This is so awesome. And we're going to keep having more of these events. We're going to keep having giveaways. We're going to keep sharing. We're going to keep doing this. We're going to up it. We're going to do Our Soil, which is a whole nother conference I've been planning for years, later this year. So it's going to be another online thing like this. I want to keep doing these giveaways. I have fun doing giveaways. It's a thing. What amazing company does Lonnie work for? Boom. It's an easy one. Oh my gosh. Peter, you got to fix that O. All right, Peter, I know what you were trying to write. It's fungi perfecti. Peter really had it. Peter, we got to give it to Peter. Oh man, because it was a oh wait, whoa, Ben was in before Peter. Ben, it's hard. I got this little window and it jumps. You guys, Ben Zamita. Very good. Ben, this gets crazy. I told you it gets crazy. All right. Remember, message me at matt@thepermaculturestudent.com. I'm sending out so many of these packages. I've got like a train of them going out. This is so much fun. Congratulations, Ben. Peter, you were so close. So close. All right, here we go. Woo! What is the name of the festival that David is launching later this summer? Whoa, Cade. Wait, Brian Crump. Brian, you are like a wow. Psychic activity in the chat. Am I like, is Zoom somehow like streaming me at like ahead of time before I finish speaking? It's saying it for me. Wow. Okay, here we go. Brian, you're really good at this. Okay. So I'm just gonna assume that Brian is gonna see it again because Brian's just really good at this. To Cade, I believe this is Cade and Kira. I believe these are our students of mine that I know very well. Cade, congratulations. He's got fast fingers. That's right. This is fun. You're just winning. What? I love it. So Cade messaged me. That's you. It's Cade and Kira. Hey guys, it's so great. These are people from Advanced Permaculture Student Online. David, was Advanced Permaculture Student Online the first course that you took with me?
Oh, Regenerative Entrepreneurs and Educators.
That's amazing.
Before the launch, I think. Yeah.
Holy cow.
Maybe permaculture gardening as well, but I never finished them all. So I was kind of.
Well, you say you have lifetime access, so you can always finish them all. Ben Zamita, APSO alumni. It is so exciting. So many of you are here with us. That's what I love about our community. I really do love it so much. So that was Cade. I gotta write it down. All right, next question. Mandy ducked out, but who is Mandy Quark writing a book with? This may be a difficult one. Alan who, Tim? You got it. All right. Yes. Oh my gosh. He wrote the rest. You went in two parts. Very, very good. Oh my gosh, Tim. That is funny. Tim, you just rocked that. And Tim actually was the one who was asking those hard questions earlier. Very good. Very good. All right. This last one is all right. So Tim, I should explain who won what. So the first four, those were the deluxe boxes. Cade, you guys won $1,000. Like you guys won $1,000 course coupon from Farming Secrets, and they literally have an incredible library. So whoa. Okay. And then Tim Harden, you won a mushroom block. And if you're international, I've got a digital substitute for you. So that's for everyone. If you're international, I've got digital substitutes. And here's the last one. And this is for another small hold mushroom block. This is so much fun. All right, ready? Do arbuscular mycorrhizal fungi form mushrooms? Oh, it's a yes, no. You knew it. You knew it. Someone wrote yes, no. Oh my gosh. Tim won again. Very good, Tim. Tim, would you like to seed that because you won the last one? He's got fast fingers. Daniel Tompkinson. Good job, Daniel. So Daniel Tompkinson won that. Wow, you guys. Are you guys warming up your hands before you're doing this? Awesome. That was so much fun. And we're going to do that again tomorrow. We've got more prizes. We've got a variety of things. I'm actually going to duck away for just a few minutes and then come back and do the live for my presentation later today. So join us for that in just 13 minutes. I'm going to run, have some water, and then be right back. So thank you all for joining us. I'm Matt Powers. Grow abundantly, learn daily, and live regeneratively. And I'll see you guys soon. Are you tired of the news? Feeling overwhelmed, distracted, drained, anxious about the future? Well, what about today? Because our future starts with the day, with the actions we take and the choices that we make today in our communities and our own personal lives. Join us this January 19th for Our Future 2023. Let's flip the script and unleash our best selves together. Over 30 different speakers from all over the world sharing inspiration, hope, and pragmatic how-to around mushroom growing, gardening, herbalism, farming, microscopy, and everything in between. Join us and step out of the matrix and into a future that's in your hands. I'm Matt Powers. Grow abundantly, learn daily, and live regeneratively. And click that link below. It's free to sign up. You'll be able to watch all the talks. You'll be able to join us for all the lives. There's giveaways every day. You don't want to miss it.